Welcome, everyone, to Rebirth, a D&D tale. Episode 97. Where we had left off, the Lucky Sevens had found themselves in the midst of a battle. The island city of section of Drake's Chest had been under attack by airborne Shadowhar Empire. They made an onslaught towards the fort of the Newport City, as that was the training grounds for primarily all of the military of the Grioran Empire. And so, General Broderus and his troops, alongside his new allies in the Drow, have been able to fight back this force with the aid of the Lucky Sevens. And now, after a general of the Shadowhar Empire had been reduced to nothing, and the battle for Newport had seemed to wane down around them, the Lucky Sevens had taken themselves to a long rest. The evening came and went, their bodies racked with exhaustion, but now wake to a fresh start. Breakfast being served in the mess hall of the fort. The civilians still taking shelter within the fort as well. And the military presence of this city, every person, trainee and otherwise, now stands guard to keep back the continuing forces. Only a bit of mild scuffles do you hear in the distance. Aside from that, it looks like the Shadowhar have stopped their onslaught for the moment. No airships overhead. No flying military forces. But a sort of gloom does still kind of set over the city. And so, waking to a new morning, breakfast having been had, Lucky Sevens, what do you do?
Well, beginning a new day. It's strange, I never expected that I would find myself in the literal war again. Of all of our adventures throughout since I've awakened in this strange new world, I never anticipated I would be witness to all of this again. Certainly we've been dealing with cults and monsters and gods and demons and all sorts of things. I don't think I was necessarily made for this. It's greater. How do I mean?
This.
I mean, the politics, the speaking with generals and dignitaries. I entertain. That's what I did. And most of the time, the only thing I ever have to consider is just myself and what I'm doing today and the next day, and hardly ever has it ever been about what the future holds. I never had that luxury. And now we're in the center of it. So I wouldn't be lying if I wasn't a little anxious.
You may be at the center of it, but you're not alone in that.
I guess not, huh?
We're all bound in one way or another. Call it fate, call it causality, call it the will of the gods, call it happenstance, call it a cruel joke. But the truth is, you're here now. You think you never had to end up entertaining generals and what have you, but you say you were an entertainer. Entertainers only work within the confines of other people. Is this so different?
No. I mean, even then, it was who I entertained were nobles of a sorts. But their nobility was beholden only to themselves each, one apart from another. Not countries, not any grandstanding virtue.
Funny thing about virtue. No one can take it from you. No noble can cast it aside. It is something you carry with you. It is intangible, but certain. No one can see it, but they know it's there. Because much like air, you can't see it. But if it's not there, you certainly know. What virtues do you end up carrying in that regard? Do you not think that you might be the very air needed when you step into the room? Do you not think that the second that a small crack opens, that you don't rush in and fill the vacuum? And thus you perpetuate the need for virtue, not in forcing others to do so, but to be permission to be so. To acknowledge it within yourself gives others permission to do the same. What is an entertainer, if not air?
I suppose that's not a perspective I ever considered before. And somehow, I understand what you mean. Maybe perhaps have examples. How... I mean... How do you feel about all of this, Alira? There's duty, of course. And I'm sure you don't really want to say much beyond that, but...
You say you've never gone to war. It's not in you to converse with generals or to be on the front lines. correct?
That would be accurate, yes. I watched it. I never. In all those ages before, I never engaged with any of it.
I was amongst the caverns, far away from home, tracking movements of illithids, watching as they infested my people, taking them en masse, stripping whole villages, making them into servitors, watching them desecrate Lolth's most holy sites. And I reported, skirmished, tracked, fought. Gulan taught me how to end up tracking, how to listen to the caves, the stalagmites, the rippling of water, condensation, what the fauna and fauna had to say. He taught me how to observe without being observed. I have been fighting war, one way or another, for my entire existence. From my own house, to the grand courts under our queen, to the illithids. And when I thought my time had passed, when me and Gulan were taken, I thought that was the end of my tale. And then I find Gulan dead. I'm not. And strangers all around a pod that kept me imprisoned, set for all manners of horrors. And the first thing that happened was that I grabbed hold of my staff and went to war again. I got to see the surface not burning but covered in ice. Walked amongst dragon and giant kin alike. Seen the mythical fae, demons and devils. And we've always charged towards the next fight. I guess I've never stopped to consider that that was never truly your norm. Because for as long as I've known you, that's all I've ever seen. Even the fight for one's heart. The fighting never has stopped. So it would seem to me that by fate, or happenstance, will of the gods, or just blind luck, your journey has tempered you for this very role. What have you run across now? What could they possibly say to you that you would not be prepared for, save one thing? It's over. I think that would break you far more. And you wouldn't know what to do with yourself, save for look for the next fight, the next conquest.
I don't know about that. But I also don't know what's next. So
Oh, fire chasm.
Right. Fall fire. Fall fire. Fall fire. It feels familiar, but at the same time it doesn't.
Mountains of platinum. Crafted into stakes to kill a god.
I mean, I know that. That's our job. Right now, at least.
And we
just
then need to know if we'll survive the curse set upon us, the Raven Queen.
Right.
That our time is extended only temporarily.
Wait, curse?
Dead and given amnesty. A temporary beginning. I don't intend to keep it so temporary. But in truth...
Wait.
Oh, go on. But for your actions, what you've become can never be the same as you were. Each step is a creation, an evolution, another hammer strike on the anvil. You can never be what you once were. You can only be more of what the path will allow you to become. What path you stride, however, that's your choice. Save for the will of the gods. We all serve masters in our own way. Some of us are just lucky enough to have the privilege of choosing one. And it would seem to me you've already chosen.
Maybe I'm just choosing what gets me closer to not ever having to choose it all again. She's gonna look at the scales and how they reflect on her skin. The strange transparent form that they take that is almost like abalone, and the oscillating colors that they reflect. She considers how she has changed a lot. First and foremost, of course, waking up from what effectively already was death to become a part of someone else, to fulfill a role. And then to die again and rise again as whatever this is now. Somehow more complete, more whole than she was before. But unsatisfied with that, she'll bring her attention back to Alira. And I imagine at this point, someone else is walking out of the room. A couple someone else. Probably the rest of the party, but noticeably seeing Limbrel walking out of where Alira came from. And Arya just... Oh! Hold on. Wait. Hold on.
You sound excited for the morning.
Alira! Alira! She takes her shoulders and just starts shaking her.
As plenty of other military people also start funneling into the mess hall.
Time to be the entertainer.
Arya's just gonna jump up and probably hook arms with Vanya and just whisper in her ear, like, I saw Limber walking out of Alira's room. I saw it. Vanya, it's happening.
Really now. Good for them.
As he's got a bowl and a mug in his own hands right now, just kind of walking over towards the table.
Look like you had a fun night.
This... What do you mean by that?
Nothing at all. She's gonna sit right down next to Arya.
I mean, his braid is freshly done. His armor looks a little shiny. He's as shiny as leather armor could be, anyway. Maybe polished a couple of things here and there. Mind if I sit?
I'm assuming we're all just scooching to make room next to Alira at this point.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
And he just sits down, starts eating his food, starts drinking his drink, like he doesn't have enough time to sit down at all, ever. And he's just minding his own business, continuing to eat.
Arya is going to make absolutely no effort to hide the fact that she keeps giving him, like, that I know what you did. I know. I'm onto you. Kind of look.
And he's doing everything that he can not to make eye contact with you.
Perfect. Truth is, we don't actually know if anything happened. There's no concrete evidence. And it could really go anyway. But Arya's just excited. Because she saw a kiss yesterday. And now this. And now it's like... Oh my.
Yeah, no, Arya's just being Arya at this rate.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Part of her character sheet. She's a hopeless romantic. She loves this shit. She's the kind of girl that would, like, watch telenovelas for the romance.
Absolutely, she would.
I can see it.
But as you all are eating your food, he quickly downs his breakfast and mug of coffee and looks at the rest of the table. Did I interrupt a conversation or something? Because there was a conversation before I walked up.
Not that I'm aware of.
Don't let me keep you from your conversations.
No, not talking about anything specific. Maybe just thinking. Just thinking about the war.
Well, on that note, he kind of pushes his empty bowl and mug aside for after he's finished with it. That does bring up that things have started to slow down. The Shadowhar have not called a ceasefire, but they're not pressuring nearly as hard. They've occupied the mainland portion of the city, but haven't been able to breach the fort as of yet, so. Which means that they've likely taken lands of the northern Grioran Empire, but if they want to make their way to Cullcaster and find no resistance there, they have to get through us first. So, that General Zariel, I think they were calling her, I think that put a little bit of a... Oh, what do they call it? Woeing of the horse, as it were.
I've never heard that term in my entire life, but good to know.
I haven't either. Your time in the military has likely warped your sense of wording.
Maybe it is a militaryism.
Now you've been in long enough.
Well, when I first joined up, I intended to make this my career, you know? And then when all of the dealings with Caleb, I had to make sure that he was dealt with, and then, being in hiding for so long, you kind of don't lose those habits, even if you're a civilian.
Imagine not.
And so when I was welcomed back a couple of years ago, I jumped at the chance. But, I guess that's enough about me. What's next on your plans?
Well, with absolutely no irony or humor behind it, we're going to go and find a whole lot of platinum, like more than is humanly possible, and we are going to use it in order to chain a god.
We're getting upped again.
Yep.
Alright. Kill a god, chain a god, whatever it is that can happen to a god, because gods are... I don't know a whole lot about gods, if I'm honest. The Grioran Empire has been godless for a while.
Stick with us long enough and you'll learn. I certainly have.
Fortunately, while your small corner of the world may be godless, the rest of the world is not.
Well, I know that there's some countries out there that are very, very rooted in the doctrine of the gods. In fact, they build their whole society around it, so... Holton being a very big one of them.
This is actually kind of a question. We did notice that there were certain things done, which we could do, that seem to affect these fiendish forces a bit more efficiently. I mean, what, what does the Greorian Empire make of that, then?
Of certain. I'm not sure I understand the question. Are certain weapons being more effective against them?
Not just certain weapons, but clerical
Damage
powers.
type.
Mm.
Spell type.
That's a little beyond my expertise. I'm not exactly a scholar of the religious.
You're no theologian, I take it. Got it.
No, those. Though.
I'm sure those are outlawed in your country as well.
The study of the arcane and the natural sciences is the predominant thing that we do in the Greorian Empire, but that isn't to say that countries next door don't have a more lax sort of relationship with the gods. In fact, one of the mountains just beyond the border is said to have a monastery to Pelor at the very top, where monks and priests spend all of their days in the devotion of Pelor. The Dawn Father, as they call him.
Have you ever seen this place?
Never been.
You've just heard words, so you don't know for sure.
Not at all, but it doesn't sound like it's on your itinerary either.
No.
It could be at some point, but not directly.
Well, if you're intending to chain a god, then perhaps asking those who have made it their life's work to study the gods might give you some insight.
We've
Be on
been
the
given
list.
enough insight for a direction. A place to start looking. But more importantly, I would prefer to know how to forge these. So much as finding the materials, because of all of our companions, the only smith I knew is no longer with us. Ren was the only one.
There might be something in his journals, though.
I didn't want to bring that up, but since you did, I believe if anywhere it exists, that would be the only place that we might have that information.
Take a look when get back into the room. See if there's anything. Maybe Arya can help me decipher some of it.
That was why I didn't want to bring it up.
2 heads are better than 1.
Oh, you can still call Cypher, right?
That is a good point. Good.
He can read math.
Do we want to pester him with it, though? Or at least bring him out this way?
We'll see what we can read from the journals, and anything we can't
Yeah, well,
interpret.
talk to him about it.
A scholar that you know?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Uh,
I actually think you might have met him before.
I'm fairly sure you met him shortly after you introduced us to your friend Caleb.
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He kept you safe inside of his ship, and then Caleb as well, and it exploded.
Yeah, it went sideways from there.
Oh,
Yeah, him.
him.
And the ship.
Wow.
I got the impression that he was extremely arrogant.
Oh, he is.
Eccentric would be more of my interpretation.
That too.
Narcissistic as well.
I wasn't going to say anything.
We're just over here, like, roasting him. Just...
To be fair, he has one, he has said some of these things about himself, and two, we've more or less said a lot of these to his face, and...
Three, I don't believe other than Alira and Arya, and cause there isn't one of us that hasn't hit him when we met him. At one point or another.
Oh, you're absolutely right, yes.
Yeah.
He has a very punchable face.
He's our great friend.
He just has a habit of opening his mouth when he shouldn't and sticking his whole foot in it.
Sometimes, yeah.
To be fair, I've met wizards that are worse. And they work for the same army that I do. Well, if you all are going to Fallfire, and that is your intended destination, I can't really think that the general would be able to keep you from doing so. He would...
No.
Probably say we've got it handled here now.
At least until the next big general comes in, but...
He said he would get word should he need or require more assistance. I was thinking perhaps you might wish to accompany us for a week or two.
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, why not?
I've got duties to attend to here.
Well, I'm sure, but your duties might also include the fact that this little venture out to Fallfire is partly what may or may not actually end this war in our favor.
Mm-hmm.
Part of what brought General Rothers in line with us as well. He might be willing to lend us your aid or assistance for the length of time it takes us to get there and do this and get back.
Requisitions.
Well,
You're not leaving forever.
Well, no, I imagine not, but I've never been outside the country, and therefore don't want to
I
be
call bullshit on that one.
Yeah, we met you in Ionia.
No, you're right.
And then there was Kombe on top of it.
Yeah.
You're really bad at lying.
My apologies.
He's just like, I imagine he's just like low key trying to get out of it. I know it. I know what it's about, but
I
How dare you refute me with facts?
Well, if I'm not exactly as skilled as all of you might be, I I would pull my own weight. I don't intend to be a slouch.
Seem fairly
that-
skilled to me. I'm not just
That-
saying that as your sister.
You're biased.
And bro,
Well,
that's
yes.
not a problem at all. Everybody gets trained on the ship, especially if it's flying. There are not, well, when we started, there were only, 7 of us. We couldn't very well have one person commanding the ship and keeping us in the air 24/7. We have to rotate things, and
And rest, of course.
there isn't anything on this ship that I don't know. From why the hell they had to rig it up for sailing because they didn't know it was a flying ship, or to the flying itself. The majority of my life has been aboard the deck.
Well, if I suppose I have no arguments against if you wish me along. You would just have to speak to the general, see if he could spare me.
Then
I'm not
perhaps that is
I'm not exactly high ranking to be certain, but I'm not exactly not either.
Then perhaps it behooves us to request a meeting with General Rodriguez before we leave, and make those accommodations.
In the meantime, I have duties to attend to.
Until then.
And he takes his bowl and his mug, kind of shoots Alira a glance with a bit of a smirk for a moment, and then takes his dishes and puts them away where they go, and goes to attend his duties as he had stated.
Vanya's gonna lean over to Arya. Maybe we should have used Lyra against him. Might have had an easier time convincing him to come along.
We still have to get General Rogers' permission for him to accompany us before he could do so.
No,
But
Yeah.
since we've been so helpful, I'm quite sure he could agree to let your brother join us for a bit. It is a part of the war effort, after all, and, well, we are allies, at least with him and what he's doing. Trying to keep this place safe. And this would further where we're trying to go. An extra hands ready for battle is always appreciated.
I would think so. I just think it'd be a waste if he was left here. I'm gonna give like a little peek at Alira.
Alira, you're getting some side glances from your party mates. Well, what do you do?
Lagan would go to the general's office and request a meeting with his assistant for General Rodriguez.
Okay. And the assistant tells you that it's going to be a short wait as he is in a meeting with other members of the military forces.
That's okay. We'll be patient this time.
Anything you wish to do or say in the meantime? Because it might be half an hour to an hour.
We've
Lagan
got journals to look over.
That's true.
Lagan would be there quietly, patiently waiting, hoping they can find something in the journal.
Mm. So would it be Vanya and Arya taking a look through the journal, or just Arya?
Vanya and Arya.
Yeah, depending on what you want us to roll, I will do what I can to aid.
Okay, so who's going to lead the role, I suppose I should say?
Depends on the role, I think.
Yep.
Well, I kind of was thinking that whatever role that you wanted to make, I'd flavor it in that context, in that it would be something intelligence-based. Now, whether you're looking for do investigation, a history, a religion, something to that effect, however it is that you're looking for information in regards to this, because you're looking specifically for instructions on how to smith platinum.
Yeah.
Okay. That one's a bit odd. Best I got is Arcana at +5.
I've got history and investigation both at +6. If we want to go that route.
Okay, let's do that then.
Okay.
And I will assist.
All right, so
Not
that's
me
at
dropping my
advantage. Yep.
dice. Give me 1 moment to get another d20 so I don't have to go fishing for that one.
It's
Oh, wait,
more
I read
likely
Zephyr's dice.
with his documents to be more of a historical thing
Mm.
Yeah.
with his smithing, because it's not something that's commonly practiced.
I know there's a reason why I picked Zephyr's dice. Not 20.
Wow.
Nice.
Good job. For a job. What for a total of what? 26?
Yep, 26.
Okay.
And now I'm gonna go after that dice that fell.
You
Gods.
start
We knew a
to
lot, apparently.
you start to fish through the journals, trying to look at anything that has anything to do with crafting, with smithing, with anything of that sort, tinkering, any of his notes regarding that. And to be fair, this journal is very thick with his notes, added slips of paper, little little doodles and things like that of his creations that he's had ideas for. Arya, bringing you to a bit of a nostalgic sense as you remember him going over essentially chalkboards with similar writings in the ancient draconic, you know, sort of letters, numbers, arcana, everything, and how he would go on for hours about anything and everything that he was tinkering with.
I never understood it, but I always adored listening to him.
Especially because his voice was rather sweet. You find that there is maybe a page on the smithing of materials and how each metal in and of itself was very particular as to how to turn it into its purest form. That it had to be maintained at a specific heat, that it had to be in order to get the purest of ingots, to make the purest of implements with it, had to be done in a very specific way. And that he had always heard of fantasy tales about a world forge. That the center of the creation of the soul would be the most magnificent forge to use to make anything. That if it did exist in the world, Even he didn't find out whether it existed or not. That it was likely to be in a number of places that he has in his notes that he had yet at the time, and this was towards the end of his notes, to discover. Before his notes took a turn into the forging of weapons to combat the giant scourge. But a forge like that could create much purer metals than any pure metals that could exist in the world during his time. And the dragons were pretty skilled smiths as well. So, and platinum is a very delicate metal. So finding this world forge is almost essential for anyone who doesn't have any blacksmithing skills of their own to get it to the purest form that it can be.
Oh, wait! Lagon! I have a question.
Yes.
Isn't Palor the god of forge?
The
Is it Palor?
Dawnfather? I don't know that he's necessarily the god of the forge, but
Who is? Which one?
Morden has always been a god of the forge.
Oh!
That's more of a dwarven thing, and I don't know that there are any dwarves around, but there is some dwarven lore that has survived.
Oh, but we know a dwarf, don't we?
We know some dwarves, but I'm talking about as the primary religion and basing society around what their creations from what they've mined with their own hands from the mountains.
Lagon, make me a quick history check.
19.
You also remember that the kingdom of Argyll, where Combe is, also primarily worships Moradin as the soul forger.
Moradin is the soul forger.
That you've been to a place aside from dwarven places.
There is a why does my oh well. There is a pretty large following to the soul forger.
Mm-hmm.
If there is perhaps a temple to Palor somewhere in or beyond the mountains, perhaps there is one to Moradin as well. Or perhaps this world forge is perhaps some temple to Moradin in some way.
Mm.
As I said, he is known as the soul forger.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. If we had a connection of someone who might know a little bit more about that, they might point us to a temple for Moradin?
Oh, well, the dragons were very skilled and gifted artisan and craftsmen too. So while this could potentially be some kind of temple or shrine to Moradin, would it not also be potentially of dragon make and near or where we need to go to acquire the platinum?
That might be worth asking General Rodris.
I don't know that he would know, but it's potentially the only thing I can think of because, well... And he whispers that to you. Because he doesn't know how many people are around and he's not really looking to draw any particular...
Oh yeah, no, I assume this entire conversation is it's like pretty hushed.
Hmm.
I, as a person,
I'm just
loud as
pointing
fuck.
that out because we're sitting here waiting for the general. I don't know how many other folks are around. I know there was an assistant that I spoke to try and get a appointment. He said we'd have to wait a while, so...
There's plenty of military
Valid.
people passing back and forth. So, yeah, your conversation might be a little hushed based on the context.
And that religion has any point or stake in this is very hushed because of reasons.
Hmm.
So, how do you want to approach this with the general? Because unless he runs everyone else out of the room again, we get some very touchy topics, and they're liable to try and kill me.
I'll ask him.
We appreciate it. I'm just grateful they haven't realized the symbols, and if they have, at least out here they don't fucking care.
Okay. Arya's just going to wait then until we're let in.
Which only takes about, a half an hour, 35 minutes. And the other associates that you know of, the generals, the other military forces, generals of the like, exiting the room just as he's kind of clearing the table, and he welcomes you all in.
Good day, General.
Good day, Lucky Sevens.
General Rodriguez. And I will do the customary bow.
And with a bit of a flick of a finger as you all walk in, he closes the door behind you.
Looks like you're doing a lot better.
Much. Thank you for noticing. I don't have a whole lot of time, as the Shadowhar are still pressing ever so slightly, but must be dealt with. What can I do for you?
We're going to have to take our leave for another duty. But
Already?
I know.
You've only just arrived yesterday.
Circumstances may potentially change the outcome of this war.
In what way? I'm listening.
We've discussed before that Mercury is not wholly operating on her own accord. She has another. God, or at least something primordial of that nature. And said entity is something we believe we can bind.
Mercury has been a nuisance for a number of millennia. I don't know how this would be any different. In fact, I remember when she was very young, many, many ages ago. I actually thought that she had bitten the dust. Last I had heard, but, seems that she's Empress of the Shadowhar Empire now, and so, well, there goes my joy.
Empress, but not by her own power. She, I'm fairly certain, can continue to remain a nuisance. However, it's quite easy to weaken her. And right now, the vast majority of her power is coming from this other entity. This other being, this primordial being, the old god of death, as we've come to learn of it in our travels, and discovering and upheaving its cults, is what she's in linked with. We've been chasing after it, trying to destroy its traces wherever it is, across the entirety of the world so far.
Ouijas is dead.
It's not Ouijas.
We're talking older.
Older than we just. The god of death that we just took death from.
And even if those stories are true, that was ages before my time.
We were hoping perhaps you may have heard of a forge.
Plenty of forges exist in the world.
World Forge?
Yeah. The Soul Forge.
A myth. A myth that was chased after by certain crafters in our delegation, thought mad for even seeking out such things. But
there is a thin line between genius and insanity.
Indeed. And Ryujin was insane.
I mean,
In the best ways, maybe, from what I've heard.
sometimes. I would have to agree sometimes.
A skilled craftsman, to be sure, and he wanted his creations to be legendary. It only made sense that he would seek out mythological places of creation in order to make himself that much more powerful. But everyone in the council thought him mad.
But even you agree. You recall just as well. There was never a time where he ever failed the council.
No.
He set his mind and he created a weapon that would change the world. And it did.
Indeed. I never told me where he learned such a thing. But we weren't exactly friends.
I've heard it said more than once and by more than one person, including him. There is always a kernel of truth, a seed of truth somewhere, even in myth and legend. So if it's possible...
The legend, as I would know it, is that the very soul of beings was crafted in that forge. that Palor gave the world light, that the Wild Mother gave the world earth, and after crafting a perfectly sculpted being, the Soul Forger injected life. And that his forge is where he forged the soul. And thus could create anything. Or so the legend goes. But it was legendary even in my time.
It also says that from the pain below, Melora looked at her creations, and her tears are what created the oceans, the seas, the rivers, and lakes.
Yes. You can see how wild that sounds.
A mother crying so hard for that she wished to breathe life into. Being hurt and harmed. Hurting her. Maybe not all mothers, but I'm told that's a very motherly instinct to want to protect your children, for lack of a better word, and when they harmed, it causes you harm.
By that logic, I am a corruption of the Wild Mother's creation.
We are all corruptions. But we are all her children, too.
It is said that Mesotopia is where humanity was crafted. So perhaps there's some truth. Much of Mesotopia is now underwater as a result of a calamity. But what's to
Before
say
or
that
after
there's
the
a-
last calamity?
The calamity fell and filled the crater with what is now known as the Mesotopian Sea. And so, if the seas didn't exist before the Wild Mother cried, then whatever you're looking for might be under the sea. The depths of it. If you can find a way under the sea. Rock bottom, as it were.
I have ways of getting there, but staying there,
Yeah, getting to the bottom, you just have to hold something heavy enough.
we
It's
could just
the
tie you
breathing.
to a Lyra and throw you overboard. Getting something heavy enough to sink, that's all it takes.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's the problem of not needing air.
See, I have ways of around that, but I don't know about the rest of you.
Not to mention that the weight of the water coming down on you might put a damper on things.
I wouldn't suggest wearing armor going too deep. The pressure can get extremely crushing once you go too far.
Some of the dragons that I knew that loved swimming actually would avoid going too deep. Crushing is how they described it.
Well, either way, we'll be going to Fall Fire soon. Very soon.
And if that
'Cause
hole
there-
goes deep enough, you might find what you're looking for.
Perhaps. What we intend to find is the materials necessary to make the chains to bind said god. If we find a world forge, I think that would be 2 birds in 1 stone.
Could be.
What?
I definitely want those chains because I want to wrap them around his neck.
But we've also got to create more than just the chains. The chains are only part of it.
The chains and the nails.
Yes.
Regardless, it was worth it to ask. See if you knew more, but we do have another request. We would like to requisition a soldier in your army. Just one.
And whom would you be taking with you?
My brother.
Mr. Stormcrow has been beneficial in the past, and when we were given this information, I was given an image of him with us, helping us. I know you don't have any belief in the faith that I follow, but I do. And when she speaks, I listen.
He is a very strong asset. I would dislike having him leave, but if his aid to you would be of your benefit, and you said this could change the tide of maybe the world, well, I can't exactly say no, can I?
You could always say no. It is your decision after all.
Yes.
We were just hoping that you wouldn't.
He is a Stormcrow. I have very little confidence that he wouldn't stow away anyway.
Yeah,
That
we
is
do tend to be
probably
troublesome,
fair.
don't we?
Yeah.
I would also say that if we are able, and should you need our help, you do know how to get in touch with us, and as long as he's with us, you know where he is. And he can't be reported AWOL this time.
No, he has been welcomed back to the Greyhorn Empire.
And that is our whole reason of bringing this to you. We wish to acquire his help without getting him in trouble. He also wishes this.
Well, I suppose you could take him with you, as the Shadowhar have not made any advances in the last 12 hours. Thus, we may be on a good foot at the moment. I could spare him.
We appreciate
is.
that.
It's very appreciated, General Rodrus. We will return to you soon with results. So, expect us back. And not in 5 years.
We're not gonna go and get ourselves killed this time.
Oh, I would hope not.
We certainly hope not to disappear for another 5-6 years.
As the Emperor of the Griorn Empire still owes you for your brilliance and bravery in this nation. I intend for him to pay forward on that.
Again, you do know how to get in touch as it does. And should you require him to return, we will do what we are able.
I would be able to easily find you, snatch him for myself, and leave before you even knew I was there.
Maybe not that.
There's always that potential, but
You can chalk it up to dragon magic, he says with air quotes.
Yeah. I will say good day and take my leave. I appreciate everything you have done. We will return as soon as possible. Should you require us sooner, we will do our best.
And I will submit the appropriate paperwork to release a member of my army to blah 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 blah.
You can call him protective detail for Ms. Alira here. As a ambassador from the
Drow, yes.
that you have made alliances with.
Thank you for your input on that as well. Never been the best at the political game. In which case, you are all dismissed.
He thinks I'm adept at political maneuvering. Oh my god.
I'm gonna bow to General Rodriguez again, and then turn around and like just start pushing Lagan out of the room by his back.
He's already walking towards the door as he says this. He's embarrassed.
Alira just has this confused look on her face, like, what's going on? Be pushed out. It's a very strange service or custom.
And you are all let out of the room that is General Rodriguez's war room.
Vanya's gonna go track down her brother.
That went well. Much better than I expected.
Well, are you all then following after Vanya? Because Vanya's kind of darted off to go and find Emerald.
Vanya's...
I am definitely following to find Emerald.
Lagan is making way for the ship to make sure that the ship is ready, and trying to find some material components for a few spells.
Okay.
I need a couple thousand gold in order to do so.
Okay. You do know.
We've got that.
Yeah, you do know that the fort, as much as you've traveled it for now, the fort is stocked with a lot of sort of the basic material component supplies. What supplies were you looking for exactly?
1,000 gold piece gem encrusted bowl primarily.
A drum encrusted bowl for the hero's feast.
Yeah.
Ooh, that one might be a little harder to come by. So I'm going to say that we're going to roll a quick high or low on that. So I'm going to roll a d10, call high or low.
Oh,
I'm rolling a dice. Ooh, that's a 5. That's barely low. They have 1.
I am taking it.
Okay. 1,000 gold spent.
The other material component. Hold on just a second. I don't believe it is nearly as. Where did it go? I can't find it.
Okay. Then we'll come back to that in a minute.
Alright.
Should you need some time to look through your list to see. In the meantime, Illyra and Vanya have gone after to seek after Emerald. Kirobe, are you following Lagan along to the ship and or to the component store, or are you following the girls?
I think I'm going to follow the girls because it's probably going to be more fun.
Okay, following along with the girls. I suppose Arya is going to be following along with Vanya because she's basically attached to Vanya's hip. Kaz is going to go and make sure with Lagan that the ship is being prepared correctly. So, in the meantime, you all start heading towards where you think Imbro might be. Now, where do you suppose he might be?
Probably closer to one of the gates.
Okay. All right. So you start heading towards the gate, waiting and looking for him. Eventually, he does kind of pass by at one point towards one of the gates that you're standing nearby. Seems to be leading a few of the recruits and or some of the Drow military forces that have been assigned here as well.
Just gonna go right over to him.
Oh,
Got a moment?
Sure. And he instructs one of the others to take over and start leading these recruits wherever that was that they were going.
Well, got good news. You're coming with us.
Oh.
General Rodriguez is getting the paperwork done now.
Well. I can't say I'm surprised. But I am also kind of surprised. Kind of both.
I think he's tired of having a storm crow around. We do tend to be troublesome.
That is far more your vein than it is mine.
Hey, I've been behaving since I've been here. For the most part.
You haven't behaved a single day in your whole 120 years of existence, my sister.
Oh, like you have.
So, when are we leaving?
Well, we haven't exactly decided that yet. But I imagine within the next few hours to a day. Depending on how long it takes the ship to get ready and paperwork.
Okay. What should I do in the meantime, then, if I've been relieved of my duties?
Get your stuff ready, take Illyra out, go track down our parents and let them know. Something.
Yes. Yes. I shall go and let our parents know. I suppose, Alira, if you'd like to tag along.
Couldn't imagine a better use of my time.
Hmm.
Yeah, Mom seemed to like you.
Wait, she's been to meet Mom already?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's customary before the purchase of a marriage, you end up concurring with the matriarch of the other household.
Yeah, it wasn't too long after we were brought back. We stopped in here last time.
Oh. This was while I was here, then.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Well,
You seem surprised.
a little bit. Um,
Why is that?
I just thought that, well, well, a first meeting is where you, first impressions, right?
And I was sure to be very cordial with your matriarch.
How did Mom take it?
She was
proposal
as
thing?
confused as you are, but
Understood.
seemed more than willing, if those would be the right terms, because you know how Mom is.
Yes, yes, the whole I want grandchildren sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you will end up we will end up producing many here, so long as you end up fulfilling your end of the bargain.
Oh. Well, then I hope we don't run into any issues in that regard, then. Dates and things are... and courting is required first.
Well, I know
From me.
many venomous spiders who can assist you with that.
What? No. No, that isn't necessary. I, I'm perfectly capable. It's a matter of I would like to take you to dinner and to a show and to, you know, a number of things that one would do when courting a woman first. Just, I imagine that you're not familiar with courting. If the,
Absolutely, I am familiar with courting. We end up having an entire court that we end up having to navigating amongst my people at all times, with various houses intersecting, trying to end up vying for position, not only amongst the queen but amongst themselves. It is very common to occurrence amongst my people. If anything, I'm more confused as to the idea of what that has to end up doing with producing offspring to end up bringing together two houses.
well, and it may be a cultural difference, but in the Empire, it is customary for the male to sort of win the favor of the woman he is wanting to have a relationship with. Whether that's going to end up in the marriage of said person or not, that's the whole purpose of courting, is to understand one another.
How does this assist our houses in any form?
To make sure that you and I are compatible, not just biologically, but personality-wise. You
What
did
does
say
that have anything to do with producing offsprings and heir to the heir to Stormcrow?
well, because I'm not a.
I feel as though I should just end up having him bitten by a giant spider and end up having him paralyzed and perform the deed myself. It would certainly be a lot less complicated.
That's entirely frowned upon.
But you will end up wishing to end up extending this courtship for what, decades on end before it ends up having even a remote chance, and meanwhile having the opportunity to disintegrate the relationship between two houses?
Well, that's not.
Courting doesn't take
You are
that long.
truly confusing.
For some, it can take decades. For others, it is arranged. And yes, an arranged marriage does happen from time to time, and I'm if my mother's already given you her blessing.
So it has already been arranged.
You did say you are wanting to understand the culture as well. I think of it as a cultural exchange. I am not a commodity.
Sure you are.
I am a person.
You are a son of the Stormcrow house.
Which is the very
Commodity that belongs to Stormcrow. Mariel, the House of Mariel, ended up purchasing you for breeding stock and political arrangements to end up making good here upon the surface world relations. I don't understand why this is so complicated.
because that's not how it works here. I am not a slave to be purchased, Alira. I'm not a commodity. And that is a deal breaker for me. I won't be treated like something you purchase off a shelf off a shop. I simply won't. So, in order for me to help you understand where I'm coming from, I want you to understand me as a man, not just someone who could produce you offspring. If this is to work, and we be a united house of our own, then that has to happen first. It won't take decades, I promise. But I need you to understand that. All right?
Now I understand your relation to him.
We surface dwellers are weird.
The stubbornness of a Stormcrow.
Yeah, we're stubborn, troublesome people. And you apparently want one as a husband.
Can we at least agree upon that? He gives you his hand to shake.
I will acquiesce. I will acquiesce unto your request. If only for the good of both House Marielle and in service to House Stormcrow, I will acquiesce.
Good. Then it's a date. Speaking
You
of
did
date,
not tell me your brother was a shrewd negotiator.
Depends on what he's negotiating for. Most likely, like you if he's trying this hard.
yes. Yes, indeed.
It's strange coming from a male.
But it's not unusual on the surface. Usually it is the male who is the one presenting the desire to court to the female. Not the other way around. Although, it can work differently for specific individuals. It depends on the individuals, honestly.
Before you embarrass yourself further, brother dear, where are our parents?
Right. There will be at the civilian barracks.
Lead the way, please.
Indeed. And he starts to walk, leading you all. Maybe having a slight blush on his face as he's walking.
She's just gonna catch up and link arms with him.
It's all your fault.
All I did was introduce you.
It's all your fault. As you continue to walk towards the civilian barracks, where you will find that Mr. and Mrs. Stormcrow have begun working in the smith of the barracks. Tending to things, having their assistants do this and that, the creation of new weapons and tools and other such things being started as a result. And Vanya, your mom, comes up to you and says, "Vanya, dear," and she kind of gives you a kiss on both cheeks.
She's gonna hug her. Yeah, sorry we didn't pop up sooner. All that commotion yesterday.
Yes, all of the commotion yesterday was definitely very frightful.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the fort is
Manageable.
very fortified.
That it is.
So, what brings you all by?
No, one. Wanted to let you know we're back in town for maybe a few more hours, but
Leaving
we're
already?
also... Might be a way we know of to end this war. And in our favor. And we are kidnapping Emerald to go with us.
Oh. Well, I'm sure that's going to be an interesting one. Elira, how are you?
Miss Stonecrow, it's a great honor to receive you yet again in unfortunate circumstances. I am trying to acquiesce to your culture as best I can, though I will admit Imbril has made for a very awkward situation.
Not on purpose, he says. Well, my dear, I'm sure that he would be a lovely instructor on the various intricacies of the Grioran way of going about courting.
This is a very important ritual for you all, is it not?
Well, it's just as important as it is for you,
Yeah.
No, in fact, in tradition, I would end up offering you the 5 pieces of silver to end up appropriating him. And thus, it would be a proper exchange for the production of children.
Miss Mariel, you do me a disservice. My son is far more worth more than that.
Now I see where he gets his shrewd negotiations.
Takes after his mother.
As he should.
Well, in that case, why don't you all stay around for lunch? We're just finishing up some works for the armor's requisitions, as they need to be completed before the end of the day. But lunch should be served, I think.
I look forward to the hospitality offered by the servants of House Stormcrow.
Now, it won't be much, because we are, after all kind of cramped in here, and there's a bit of a shortage of a actual kitchen, but we will make do. It'll be far better than simple rations and tea, which is, I'm sure, what you will eat for the remainder of your time going wherever it is you're going.
I will enjoy the flavorful expression of burnt leaf juice.
All right. And the Mrs. Stormcrow does take her leave to go and prepare lunch, leaving you all to do whatever it is you're going to do for about 15 to 20 minutes. Maybe.
I imagine at this point, Alira is currently trying to whip Imbrel into shape, as he should be one here in the kitchen performing his rightful duties. Leaving the matriarch to end up doing such things is a grievous insult to the House of Stormcrow, which I imagine is making all kinds of issues in that regard, which, I'll let you take that wherever you wish.
And, of course, there is also the kind of snickering of Mr. Stormcrow as he's working the forge.
Vanya's gone to help him in what way she can. Joining him in the laughter.
I'm just enjoying the show. I'm enjoying tea and the show.
Welcome home, as it were, he says to you.
Shame we can't stay here for too much longer.
Always on the run, you.
Always chasing impossibilities. You're gonna love this new one.
Oh?
Going after the World Forge. This
World
time.
Forge. What? I'm not even sure if I've heard of such a thing, but what in the hell is that?
Apparently also called the Soul Forge. Mythical, creation of life, I guess it was.
I guess, if you, believe in such things, I guess.
Seen too much to not believe. I mean, she's gonna motion to Zephyr, right? He looks more dragon now, so... We came back from the dead.
All of which
Yeah,
is so hard to believe. Magic can do some weird things.
That it can. But, I don't know, just... It's odd, but... I don't think I'd have it any other way at this point.
Well, you do keep odd company.
I'm marrying an odd woman.
Yes. As in, you are keeping very odd company.
It's just gonna get odder and odder as it goes on.
So long as you come home, right?
Exactly. I have no plans of dying again.
It would be devastating to your mother to have to tell her again.
That's exactly why I don't plan to.
You disappeared for 5 years, Vanya. That alone was hard enough.
Yeah, I know.
I know you can't help what it is that you're doing, and I know that you can't exactly help if you're going missing for 5 years, but... Well... You're my little girl.
I might have something to put in place in case that happens again, so you're not waiting 5 years. There's a friend of ours who has a way of getting around the world. Likes to keep track of us. Thinks we're interesting.
A wizard of some kind? Because they're eccentric.
Something like that.
A fair number
this
of
point, I
wizards
don't
come in
know
here
what he
looking for things.
At this point, I don't even know what he is. He's... Wizards are eccentric, and then there's this guy. He puts all the rest to shame.
Well, so long as he brings my daughter back in one piece, I think I'd be okay with that.
Either me back in one piece or word. I told you guys last time there's... This is dangerous.
And you've always been the dangerous type. Monster hunter before this. Noticed you still keep the guitar close.
Still play it every night, too. Every chance I get.
How are the strings looking? He goes over to where you have it strapped on your back and starts kind of inspecting it for a moment.
She's going to shrug it off and let him take a proper look at it. Knowing there's no stopping him.
Kind of puts on what looks like a pair of tool glasses and starts checking the strings to make sure that there's good tension on them, but also that they're not, in any danger of coming apart anytime soon.
Been taking care of it the best I can. On the road, at least.
I noticed that there's a number of different scuffs and things.
Comes in handy in a fight.
But otherwise, looks in good shape.
I've actually started to do a little bit of what Allie wanted. Turning music into magic.
She had always wanted to go to Bard's College.
She's gonna play a little bit and use dancing lights. Just get the little orbs floating around.
You notice there's a tear that kind of forms in the corner of his eye. I hope you're not trying to be something you're not.
No.
That you're doing, that your love for music isn't because of Allie.
I thought I lost my love for music, and someone helped me find it again. In such a way I was able to start doing this again. I found a good mix between the two. I'm doing what I want because I want to.
I'm sure Allie would be very happy to hear that, if she were here.
And she would be. She'd be giving us all sorts of hell about me and Emerald heading off someplace too. She worried just about as much as Mom does.
Yeah. He hands the guitar back to you.
She'll strap it back on her back.
Well, seems that we've been more or less recruited to perform our old jobs as far as, before you and your siblings came along.
How's it feel to be back at it?
Odd. The skill never quite left, but at the same time, stringing a guitar or a violin or a piano or even, I don't know, tuning a flute or something, all of which was far more fulfilling. And we'll be getting back to it once we get back to Leafside.
We'll make sure that happens sooner than later. Promise.
We all have the things that we must do before we get back to our regular lives.
I miss being home. Miss running around the shop.
You insisted pretty regularly that anytime that I was tuning something, that you be there to listen. You and Allie. Both when you were little.
Why don't you play for us today before we leave?
A little rusty.
So? I think it still sounds just as good.
Ah, well. Sure. I don't see why not. Seeing as your brother is tone deaf.
Well, one of us was bound to be.
Boy could never manage to navigate a note in his life.
Yeah, he was always better at picking fights. And now look at him. Still
Stopping
picking fights.
More like ending some of them, I think.
Yeah, if yesterday was an example of that.
And just as your mom starts bringing out lunch with a bit of Imbral's help and and you all start to settle down for a little bit of food. Kevison pulls out his own guitar and begins to strum a nice song.
Partway through, she's going to pull out hers and join him.
Okay. Imbrel attempts to sing.
I imagine they both shoot him a look telling him to shut up.
No, he's not terrible at performance, but you know.
He's not terrible, but
He's not. Singing isn't exactly his strong suit either.
no.
Yep, he's pretty average for his compared to everything else. He's pretty average at the whole music thing. Not extremely tone deaf, but a little. But you all finish your lunch and the awkward music, and are free to go about whatever it is that you're going to do next. Which is... Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm probably going to get together with Lagan and do whatever we need to for final preparations to be setting out.
Okay. And Lagan, you had one more material component, which you posted in our Discord, which was some ruby dust and another gem, both worth 1,000 gold.
Yeah,
each.
both of those.
Okay. Are both of those for the same spell, or are they for different spells?
Two different spells.
Okay.
The gem is for planar binding. It doesn't specify what type of gem.
Okay.
Forbidden specifically requires ruby dust.
Okay. Now, in your bag of holding, do you have any gems that are worth 1,000 gold that you can just have? I remember
I might.
before.
I might, but I don't know.
Got 2 amethyst at 50 gold a piece, 3 topaz.
But no individual one's worth 1,000. I think it's a single gem.
The only thing that I have of any value is the obsidian one-eyed skull that, because of the slight damage, is like 250 gold from 1,000. It's like 750 instead of the 1,000 that it was supposed to be.
Okay, so you don't have any individual gems though that are worth 1,000. Okay, so you're going specifically to a jeweler in this case for the ruby dust and the and the other gem. Which they have a high likelihood of having. So I'm going to say that with the high likelihood of it being there is also the chance of it being rather high as far as market value. So I would like to... Well, you're not exactly the best at persuading, so does anyone want to come and assist in negotiations with Lagan?
I mean, I'm already with him. I can do it.
Okay. If you want to make a persuasion, Arya, then you can.
I certainly can. Guess what I'm pretty much best
I'll
at.
On it.
Vanya, you're not there currently.
Fair.
Okay.
Since you're going to be doing this, I want to cast guidance.
Oh, thank you. How much is that at? Is
D4?
Cool. I'll go ahead and roll that first. I'm just doing it all on roll 20. Bloop. Okay, 3. So 16 plus 3 puts us at 19.
Okay. Then then yeah, the 1,000 gold each that they are worth is going to be the cost at which you purchase them. So you have your one
So I have one use for forbiddance and one for planar binding.
Yep. You have one use
Alright.
of each.
The other thing would be making sure that we've got the water and rations for the length of trip on board that we may require.
Okay. So
And that'll be the end of the shopping.
okay. So how much time are you looking to purchase in rations and things?
I'm looking for a week of rations.
A week of rations and food and water?
Well, I can create water, so I don't necessarily.
Okay.
I still have
Have to
pellets of
refill the
water
water.
too.
Yeah, there's still pellets of water too. So with the water already covered, so getting just the ration cost out of the way. So let's look up the ration cost.
Mm.
5 silver for 1 day.
Yeah.
So 1 day per person for 7 days. And that is 6 of you plus Zephyr.
Eat what we eat.
So we have 6 characters times 7 days. Would be 42 rations, so they would be at 5 silver apiece. 210 silver, which I believe is 21 gold. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, 21 gold.
Okay.
Which means that you have sustenance, but it's not exactly the most divine of dinners, as it were.
Yeah, Kurobe's also going to do his normal thing of getting his like actual food.
Okay.
Like he has the bag of colding, so he can keep like real food together.
And how much
to give them?
Are you wanting to purchase?
Probably enough stuff to do, maybe a week or two, probably.
So a week of nice food?
Well, stuff like potatoes and like, stuff that kind of will last.
So something along the lines of like a modest or comfortable lifestyle food?
Probably.
Okay. So in that case, that would be for, again, 6 characters for 7 days. Would put that at, and we'll put it at modest, because that's going to be 5 silver again. So that's going to be another 210 silver or 21 gold.
Copy.
So you more or less have, in that case, 2 weeks of food between the both of them.
Cool. Request for 2 of my spells, because I gave it up earlier. For the Stormcrow Shrine. Can I use 500 gold to purchase a small statuette with sort of like a draconic insignia on it of some variety?
Of a draconic variety might be a little hard to come by. That's going to be a high or low.
Let's go high.
Okay. Rolling a dice. Ooh, that's an 8. That's high. Okay.
Me. Okay.
And what is the value of this statue that you need?
500.
Okay. Yeah, you could find one that's probably a little crudely made, but yeah.
Crudely made is acceptable. All right.
So you have one statuette?
Perfect. That covers 2 of my spells. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. Any other components or anything else that y'all are needing to purchase before you make your way?
Vanya would have had them get her some arrows.
Some arrows?
About 4 gold's worth.
4 gold worth? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Keeping track of that.
Yep.
Anything else you're looking to purchase? Vanya, are you still rocking like a normal bow, or are you rocking a +1 bow at this point?
I've still got that +1 bow from like the very first like crumbled shrine we had at the start of the chronicle.
Oh, okay. So it's baseline magical. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. It's
Cool.
it's the +1.
'Cause I'm fairly certain all of the characters that have weapons have magical weapons at this point, so I just wanted to make sure that you weren't rocking something ordinary. Because I would have allowed for you to find another +1 somewhere in the city, but you don't need it. Well, in which case, I think now is a good time for us to take a quick break. And when we come back, the Daedalus will be on its way towards the Fall Fire Crater. So, be back soon, everyone. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone, to Rebirth, a D&D tale. Setting flight and making their way across the Rioran Empire, across the mountains of the Beltway Tips, across the plains of Fallfire. The Daedalus is flying over the approaching wasteland and abandoned city nearby to the Fallfire crater. Finding a place to land with the ship is a little bit more difficult, as the surrounding water is not shallow, but having a port to actually get off the boat on is a tricky business. The closest thing that the Daedalus can find to a city is more of a ghost town. A ghost town by the name of Stonehaven. Seeing the crater on the horizon in the distance, the ship lands in the port, and the crew disembarks. There's very few in the way of citizens, and even fewer in the way of supply stations in this place, so there's not really much here for anyone to do, or buy, or say. So, with that being said, our good friend Spectre Deflector is going to be taking over for a few sessions as our guest DM. So, Spectre, take it away.
It's about noon, just a little bit after, as your ship finally settles into the port. The sails draw up, and the wind bellows dry air despite the ocean around you. The sands from the distant wastes before you, seemingly covered by contrast of a fog and dunes just below it. The larger landscape you can see in the distance is mountainous, noise of hills, of which feels worn by time, waned by air and sea, and yet at the same time spires in what would otherwise be flatland. The crater, clearly, being the source, as you see the landscape jut out in waves, creating these spires. Eventually falling into the ocean. Stonehaven, as stated, is a ghost town. But there are some interesting little cues about it you happen to notice. The culture here, of the people, is suspicious. Uncertain. As you all exit the docks and find your way through. Stonehaven was once a great and eminent city, built literally from the rock and the sand and the cliffs around it. The style is Baroque, ornate, something attributed to what you would have known as celebrative and opulent, but long gone now, with the denizens about having a tendency to all wear masks upon their faces, shrouds, and hoods. It's here that you land. Here where you station as a base before finding your way deeper into the dunes, the wastes before you of the crater. Before disembarking, were there any last considerations?
Imbril feels uneasy, as one ought to, as as he looks at the ghost town. Just empty, devoid. Well, this is unnerving.
At least we won't have a problem finding a place to sleep tonight. Probably will say you can. Looking around, walking.
Looking around, can we see signs of anybody having passed through recently, even though it looks deserted?
Oh, certainly. The town isn't completely deserted. It's largely run down. Maybe just a handful of people who still exist here, clinging to what little remnants of a history that they had. Perhaps a lineage, a family. Perhaps they're just here to hunt, pillage what remains. But more than anything, what remains of Stonehaven at this point is more like a checkpoint before the larger cities. So you would find customary things. You would find a simple tavern, an inn for travelers who are just passing through. The ports and dock is present and manned by a skeleton crew, effectively. And there are roaming traders, though no specific, say, station or stall that could be constituted as a proper merchant. Everyone here is a traveler. Everyone here is a ghost.
I'd like to engage with one of the traveling merchants.
Certainly. You approach one of these individuals. They have a wagon, just a small hooded vehicle, tarp over the top of a very elegant design. And the person themselves are covered in wrappings. Their face is covered with what appears to be a wood mask carved into a smile. It feels disingenuous.
Good evening.
They quirk their head at you. Good evening. How might I serve you? You seem to be distant. He peers over to the rest of the party. You and your lot don't appear to be local. At least, not to Mesotopia.
Not many to be found who are, I'd imagine. Seems everybody travels through town. Very few live in it.
At least here. But those who do travel through know that there are certain customs to be had. There is a law, after all, and he just taps on his mask.
Curious. Why is that?
The identity is sacred. Your face, and any others, is one that can be stolen, traded. It itself has a value.
Fascinating. And your mask. You crafted it yourself, or you purchased it from another traveler? Or is that base of a stolen one?
I craft and I source, as necessary. This one I made of the fine woods that I have found in the distant norths.
Strange. I'd be curious as to know why it is that so many merchants pass through, and yet not a shop to be found. One would think, with so many traveling merchants, it'd be wise to set down something a bit more permanent here. If only to exchange between common merchants.
Your query is an acute one, very, very well perceptive. You see, here at Stonehaven, I'm sure you can recognize down below the crater. It is not an uncommon word. There lies treasure in these lands, from the crater to the coast, and even within Mesomaskai itself, the capital. You will find that many treasure hunters pass through these lands, but only few survive.
I reach into my pocket, produce a gold coin, and flick it to him as I recognize the custom of the surface dweller.
Catches it. Inspects for a moment. And what discerning eye have I to appease?
Information. We see a ghost town, and yet merchants travel through and through. We see a sparse populace of a town that once thrived. I pay for stories, and far more the discerning eye of merchant than the overt exaggerations of a bard in a tavern.
A story I might be able to provide.
Why
Long
the
ago.
masks?
Huh? What was that?
I'd like to know the story behind the masks. That is an unusual custom even amongst surface dwellers.
It's a curious one, that. Once upon a time, long, long ago, Mesomaska once had a certain population. One that now in the modern days that we see before us are seen with disdain. In Mesomaska you can find many riches, but only if you are of a certain blood. And that blood is worn on your skin, in your eyes, in every aspect of your being. You know of the tiefling, yes?
I'm familiar.
Ah. There is a rich diversity, a contrast that can be found amongst them. While the war rages across the entirety of the continents before us, our history holds that of a great and mighty warrior and heroes that bear the flesh and the blood of the Inferno. Those of Mesomaska, well, much of their people are of this blood, have been before and remain so. But times change. There, of the history, came a new ruler, deemed their kind terror, filth, disgust, but corruption. And as a result, we have discovered that the greatest of powers is to hide oneself amongst the common folk. But when you do not have magic to glamour yourself, when you do not have great and mighty powers to conceal your nature, you must use mundane means. And so many used mundane means until it became proper. And those of that blood, and blood before that blood, across many, many families, many great houses, eventually found the value of this self. Your face becomes a tool, a weapon, and a price is placed upon it. Even the great king, though small a king he is, wears a mask all the same. Codified it into law. Not to protect those of infernal blood, no. But because it grants a wealth that none other can possess.
Fascinating story. And is it tradition to carve one's own mask?
For some, there are many great noble houses. There is, say, the Avaricis carve their own masks. The Sentineles carve their own masks. But you may purchase them. And I also offer them.
Now, I'm just going to do a quick insight, as there's definitely a lot of oddities. I would like to end up knowing if I have any reason to distrust this individual in the statement, though I imagine I'm seeing everybody masked in one form or another at this point, at least offering some validity to that statement.
Mm-hmm.
With insight, that is a natural 10.
Around here.
That is a 10.
There is, I mean, as far as you can tell, he seems to be very honest, but as far as the noble houses, questionable who these noble houses are. You've never heard of them, possibly because you are in a completely different region. That might just be nature of your alienation and isolation. And then the other, of course, gesture on that is, though he offers masks, it doesn't seem like he would necessarily have any that would be of higher quality than anything you could personally make or source by your own means. He's making it kind of on ethereal, magical in intent, that as if he has these great and noble houses' craftsmanship. He's trying to sell, obviously.
Obviously. I would expect no less from a merchant.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will end up inquiring with the rest of my traveling companions. A good evening to you. And a coin end up filling your hands in the near future.
He gives a respectful bow and watches you leave before someone else does approach him shortly after. Another individual clad in dark cloak, but apparently another traveler. There are many here who are effectively like shadows.
Stranger still. I end up approaching back to the party. So, it would seem local custom is to hide one's identity. Or, more accurate, I suppose one would say, is to craft one's own face. Or purchase one, as appropriate. It would seem that they held a great focus on hiding one's true face. It is a commodity here. One to be guarded very carefully.
Well, I suppose we'll have to get quite a few of them if we're going to fit in.
We don't intend to stay in this city for long, though, do we?
I imagine not for long, but...
I would imagine it may not just be this town that these face coverings are a custom.
You think we're going to get accosted for not wearing a mask out on the... He gestures out to the horizon in the wastes?
Outside of anywhere there may be people congregating, not especially, but if this is beyond just some custom, but potentially some law, they've concocted, for whatever reason they've decided their custom is law, then I'd rather not run afoul of anyone just because we aren't taking proper precautions to protect the commodity of our identities, if I understood you right.
Basically, it's better to be safe than sorry in a case like this.
Let's be honest, we've all spent money on dumber things.
Well, if y'all want masks, y'all go ahead. Lagan has 2 that he's made for himself.
What materials can I find around us?
Oh, rocks, woods. You could literally... The thing about a lot of the structures around you is that there's, like, it's just decaying structure.
Okay,
wood.
I'm going to look for some reclaimed wood then. Something that's not rotten, has some obvious age to it.
I know where you're going with this. Yes, that is easy enough to do, and you're even able to pull it apart with absolutely no issues. It just splinters in your hands.
Now, is it workable enough that I could carve myself out and fashion a mask of sorts?
Do you have tools for that?
I have like a pocket knife basically. Kurobe made his own flute. It's not out of the realm of possibility that I think he could carve an okay looking mask.
Oh, it's not gonna be okay. It's gonna look crummy, but you know what? You're gonna be able to do it just fine. If you can... Most you need is being able to figure out how to, keep it on your face is the hard part.
Imbral's going to take the sort of yellow sort of shawl cape thing that he has around his neck, and he's kind of going to do a similar, like, kind of head wrapping with it to cover his face.
Easily done.
as part of it. It's not a mask per se, but it's a face covering.
As far as you can tell, that's what at least half of the people here are doing.
Kroby's just going to be like mid-carve. He's like, "Oh, you son of a bitch, that's..."
Lagan, do me a favor. Explain to me what your mask looks like. Remind us.
You're muted, by the way.
Which one? I have two of them. Both are hand carved. One is, well, they're both made out of driftwood. One is bone white in color, carved to look like an ibex head. The plague doctor style bird face mask, and the other is a bird face, but more of like a falcon.
Which one are you wearing?
Just the falcon head. The ibex head is a little too on the nose for the armor. I'm not trying to scare anyone to death with the armor and mask.
Easily done. Easily done. Beautiful.
Vanya is doing similar to her brother, just pulling out a long enough piece of cloth and wrapping it around her.
Easily done. And of course, the other...
just going to take one of his tops and the sash and fashion a head covering from that. So it'll be pretty colorful and have some nice designs.
Very well done. Of course, now that you are mostly suited for the area, at the very bare minimum, you understand that in Mesomasca and Mesotopia by large, they have this law that is in regards to the masks. Masks are a necessitation in order to protect your identity, but as well as what is effectively seeming to be a commodity. In a weird way, perhaps not quite unlike being clothed versus unclothed. But people here, many of which are travelers, don't seem to notice or pay too much mind. You're able to make your way through Stonehaven without any sort of unusuality, any stairs or anything like that. So all of you hide your faces. So, that said, from here, if there is no other questions, there's no other exploration, and you make your way towards the crater. The crater itself, as you near it, it appears to be very much the imagery of the sunken hole, miles across in the wastes. And from it are waves of mountains jutting out in a bowl shape. Those resulting waves and turns of cliffs jutting out from what would otherwise be flat land are like spires, suggesting the violence of the impact itself. There is nothing between Stonehaven and this place. At least at first. Once you're within, say, a mile or two, you happen to notice something that was not easily observed from the distance. a splotch of color, wistfully swaying in the wind. You're met by the sparkling of lights, mysteriously, like will-o-wisp in the air.
That's
And below your
ominous.
feet are yellow flowers.
Imbril just kind of looks at the clear divide between what is flowery grassland now and the sort of dead and lifeless waste that is behind them, and just kind of looks a little bit awestruck at just the sheer divide as they're starting to get closer. Does anyone else find this weird?
Compared to what?
Yeah, we kind of have a skewed.
Yeah. Also,
We've been
not the
through a
first time
lot.
Yeah, it's not the first time we've seen that divide.
I don't
Perhaps
know.
for Imbril. My apologies. Perhaps for Imbril there's something different. Perhaps for you, as you come across this field, what unnerves you is an aching sense of familiarity.
He's just kind of staring almost eternally into like the flowers at his feet.
You all right, Emerald?
I would say be careful.
I would agree.
That's kind of a general rule.
But if you think that's weird, wait until we get to where any points at the plants that are along the divide that Emerald is kind of weirded out by. Mutated into something that wants to eat you with the rest of the flora and fauna.
I don't mind the ones that tried to eat us. I just hated the faces.
I feel like these flowers are going to eat me whole.
Then don't stand on them.
I have to say, all the more reason to keep moving.
And he kind of steps gingerly, very gingerly, through the flowers a little bit. He's afraid to step on any one of them.
Probably's going to look back. If it really bothers you that much, do you want help?
No. I'm fine. It's like you said, you've been through things that are worse than this, and I'm just not used to it.
Please voice those so that we have a thing of reason, because we kind of need that. I don't want to get too used to crazy shit to where we can't figure out what normal is again.
Just don't pluck them and you should be fine.
No, that would be absolutely detrimental. That would be absolutely out of the question. He just
Yes, it would. It's Kurobe kind of like slowly like throwing some flowers that he had already picked up away.
Oh, Kurobe, do me a favor. Roll me a D100.
Nice.
He's just so half-assed already. Okay.
Didn't we learn our lesson from the last time that happened?
Look, you pick up
Apparently
not.
one little skull that talks to you, and apparently everybody has it in for you.
I'm not even referring to that. I'm referring all the way back to Kombe.
Alright. So I got a 20 on the one dice and a 10 on the other dice.
So that would be 20.
Yep.
Cool. Okay.
I die instantly, don't I?
No. As you pluck out the flowers and begin packing them away, you notice from the ground, something begins bubbling up from it, almost like oil. It begins to pool around your feet, roughly in like a 10-foot square centered on you, and causing the terrain to be difficult, sticky, slick, just like this horrible, horrible mess. And you take a step and you can just feel yourself. It's very slick. So
That would be why.
for this, if you want to move out of it, I'm gonna need you to make a dexterity saving throw. Otherwise, you're gonna fall flat on your ass.
Alright. Let's see. Dexterity saving throw. That is a +2. That is a 13.
All right, you save. You squeak and slip and slide all the way out, almost as if you were barely losing your balance across ice, and then you end up out of that 10-foot square in short time.
Yeah. Definitely don't pick the flowers. It's a good idea. I don't know. Yeah. Probably just want to keep walking.
That could have been so much worse.
It really could have.
Worse has happened to us in such cases.
Sorry, guys. Sometimes I have to do dumb things because, like, I am dumb.
No foraging for you while we're out and about.
I wouldn't pick anything. It's fine. It's fine.
Really?
You wouldn't.
No,
would.
no, never. I don't know what you're talking about.
Do we have to bind your hands?
Do you think you can?
I can.
We can try.
I don't really not like to have to unless absolutely necessary.
He's just probably just gonna have a smile on his face. Come on. Look, it wouldn't be normal if I didn't do something dumb. Let's go.
That's a fair point.
How is it that you've survived all of this time?
Well, if you're gonna be
We did-
dumb, you have to be tough.
Yeah, that one's right. We actually didn't.
Yeah. 1 point. we did.
Technically.
However, Kurobe, for as dumb as he is quite tanky.
Look, if you're going to be dumb, you gotta be tough.
Those
Says
are
the
not
man who
mutually exclusive.
As a man who walked through how many traps that one night?
Oh yeah, tell your brother that story. And Grove's just going to keep walking.
And as they're walking, she was just going to tell him that story.
Progressively worse and worse explosions and lightning and arrows, capping off with a disintegration spell. And me butt naked in the middle of the pier, almost dead.
We don't know how he survived. He's a tough old codger anyways.
Old. He barely looks like he's over 25.
That's a new thing. You should remember what he looked like when you first met him.
Remember the old man that threatened to fold your clothes while you were still in them in his house in Combe?
I don't know why I thought that you'd always looked like this. I remember it now that you say something.
Maybe that's something about when we were remade.
Maybe.
Maybe I won't have to explain this to my parents.
I don't know, you'll always be the old man to me. Regardless of how you look.
And Krobe's just going to kind of be bouncing on the balls of his feet and like flexing around. He's like, I don't know. I really like everything not hurting when I wake up now.
What's Amaranth gonna think? She's robbing the cradle now.
She was when, like,
And you look even younger.
So, I'm sorry, you're human, Kurobe? Or elf?
no, I'm not elf. I'm a human. I was 63 before we took up this journey.
You do not look like a 63-year-old human. I've known plenty of old humans.
Remember how I used to look, though?
Long, sort of wispy hair, beard.
A little hunched over. I was at the end of my life. On the later half.
Well, now you're not. I suppose that's one thing. It's just, shall we keep moving then?
Oh yeah, sorry. And Groby will just be like, yeah, I may do dumb things from time to time, but at least I'm tough and they don't get hurt by it.
That's only going to get you so far before your escapades end up hurting someone else.
Which is why I try to be more careful now. I don't just go through first. Even though it puts Vanya in danger, she can notice things a lot better than I can.
He says as he tromps through the yellow flowers first before anyone else.
No one's taking the lead.
Nope.
Imbral's kind
That
of
said,
trailing it behind a little bit, just still gingerly stepping where he steps.
I am gonna try and observe what I can. Now, I am not so familiar with this region and the significance of these flowers, but outside of what I've just been told, but I'd like to end up using my own skills as I've learned in the Underdark with Gulant to try and navigate a safer path for us.
certainly, that is wonderful. If you would like to, go ahead and roll a survival
Okay.
check. Anyone who wants to assist is more than welcome to.
I will.
Okay.
So,
That will be a 13.
okay. You've encountered some of these in passing, though fleetingly, in the Underdark. As you wander through the fields, these small lights that glow around you, twinkling like stars as dusk falls upon the crater. You notice when you just barely touch them, a burst of magic appears out of them. Tiny, tiny amounts. The shifting flow and energy here is sparking, so to speak. You recognize it as a wild magic zone, but not like one you've ever experienced before. Something more contained, and yet something more obscure. It feels as if it was a wild magic zone that had dulled, waned. And as you draw closer to the center of the flower patch, keeping the rest of the Lucky Sevens close by, guiding them, you happen to notice that there is a hole, almost perfectly round, centered within the patch. And from it are small branches, like a tree, crawling out of it. But there is no trunk. They almost appear as if they're reaching for light. But there are no leaves.
Vanya's gonna go get a closer look.
Roby will go next door.
And Imbril too.
Lagan as well, because the last time I saw something like this, it had faces.
You all go and inspect it. And as you look upon the bark, it appears very much dead, but there is none of that quintessential aspect of the bark that would be like what happens to it when, over age and time, when insects crawl through it, it splits apart. No, this looks almost more like driftwood, a smooth texture, long dead and hard as stone. Almost fossilized, you would say, even. There aren't any faces in it, per se, but... Imbro, when you look upon it, you hear whispers. Distant. Almost like memories. You can't make out any voices, any specific words. But something in you churns.
I touch it.
You're met with a flash. An image in your minds. Distant, in a dark, dark shadow of a space, in a void. You see someone in a yellow dress. They're walking away from you. And then you snap back instantly.
What was that?
What do you mean?
I saw a woman. I saw Mother. It was her.
What are you talking about?
A woman in yellow, and he looks at the sort of cape shawl that he's wearing. I saw her. She's here. She's here.
Isn't that along the lines of what your buddy Caleb was ranting about when you had to chase him down?
But I get it now. I get it now.
Get what?
That I get why he was looking for her. He was looking for her. The woman in yellow. She's the source.
Source
Oh.
of what?
I don't know. I can't put it into words. I just know.
That's why I hate visions. It should come with a manual or something.
I don't know why I know. I just do. She is here. Was here. Wasn't here. All at the same time.
And bro, you're making no sense.
Okay, I thought it was just me. I was really like, I did not know what the hell to think.
You're actually starting to worry me a little bit.
I'm fine. Like you said, it was a vision. It's probably nothing. I just feel like I'm going to get some answers here.
How are we going to discover them?
Are we going into the creepy hole?
This is just a branch. Just remnants left behind. She's not right here. She's further down.
Well, thankfully, below is my specialty. So, I take a step forward. Shall we begin?
Did we acquire any more rope after Karobe used all of our rope?
I imagine you already did, yeah.
Yeah, subtract 5 gold from party inventory. I imagine you got it. As much as you need.
Yeah, I told you
Okay.
guys. You can get engineering kits and things.
I
forgot I
wanting
kind
to
of-
make sure.
Yeah, I forgot I kind of used all our rope to pull an airship off course.
Yeah, that was why I asked.
You set up the batons, prepare the gear, make your descents. The hole itself is several feet, give or take about maybe 30 feet of crust. Solid stone. You pass through, careful about this strange branch. Travels up it like a vine, crawling through in and out of the stonework itself. And eventually, find yourselves in an open chasm. When you find solid footing, you're at the mouth of a cave within a cave. Before you is a mighty dungeon. It is a city beneath here, largely untouched, yet lit. The tree of dead wood expands across all corners of it, its branches touching every building, rooted through every seam and alley. The city glows gold with ever-burn light. Massive buildings rise from the floor to the ceiling. You notice as you look down below, an ocean of water, clear as crystal. The city structures is like alabaster. And every surface that light hits reflects with the sheen of platinum. Beneath the crater lives an ancient city. The Platinum City. The long-lost city of dragons.
Okay,
Oh,
I did not expect this to be down the creepy hole.
I don't think any of us did.
Why?
Why what?
I
Was this unexpected?
usually you find creepy things down the creepy hole.
Where
Are you
Underneath-
trying to insult me?
There-
where under
Okay.
a crater? This place should have been destroyed.
Alira, outside of the drow, how many things are down where you live that are creepy and try to kill you?
If the surface was a burning hellscape when last my people left,
I know, I'm
and
just...
a lot of things upon the surface are creepy and have tried to kill me.
Yeah,
That
that's
is-
how we feel about some of the stuff where it's the same for both of us.
I think that's
And
the
so-
point here.
Yeah. drow? Fine, I'm okay with that. The thing that tried to eat my brain and that I had to kill a lot of? Creepy.
I'm now starting to regret and not being more creepy and trying to kill you.
I mean, there's always tomorrow.
Very well then. I will attempt to kill you tomorrow.
Okay.
The giant brain with legs, the squid-faced tentacled monster.
The walking offspring of a giant, the walking offspring of a two-legged dragon. Things that are part demon. Drow and man things breeding together.
Oh my
What
god.
kind of hellscape have you wrought upon the surface?
We have to show her an owlbear.
A what?
Oh.
What?
Well,
No, I have seen these bears, and Vanya has shown me an owl. How are these supposed to mate with one another?
I don't know, but
How?
From what I understand, they came about 100 years ago.
yeah, something like that.
Or maybe a
What
little
kind of
before
monstrous
that?
experiments were being made upon the surface?
Have you seen a hippogriff?
A hypothalamus? What?
Hippogriff. It's about the size of a horse. Has the wings, beak, and front forelegs are more like talons of an eagle. And the rear of a horse.
I see Imbril is not the only one who has succumbed to a mad fever dream.
no, these are actually real.
They're
Next, you will
supposedly
describe
relative.
a venomous creature with the bill of a duck, the fur of a mammal that walks around with webbed feet.
It's called the platypus. It's also poisonous and lays eggs.
Yes. They're very cute, though.
Certifiably insane.
Weird animals do exist in the world, yes. But that is why monster hunters exist.
Hippogriffs
To
are
kill
supposedly
platypus, I
relatives.
understand. Such a thing sounds as though you need a certified monster hunter to end up tackling it.
Well, maybe they
Does
Well,
it
they're
tear
only
down
about-
buildings with its web
No.
feet?
No, they're only about this big.
No, things about as big as a Hydra, maybe.
Yeah, that's
So which is
what
it, this
my
big or as
comment
big as a Hydra?
There's no in
I
between.
apologize. It's of a Tarask. She just starts stumbling forward, like horrified at the implication, going to something more familiar. A city that should have been destroyed upon the impact of a crater deep in the underground is far more comfortable than the conversation that is currently undergoing.
We gotta find a zoo and take her there.
I'm partied with
And,
one.
Imbril's
Ash,
kind of races to catch up with her.
I'll just kind of slow. Yeah, she's not wrong. Let's go.
Vanya's just taking Arya's hand to kind of guide her along the pathway.
Arya, she goes ahead and hugs arms with you, Vanya, but you notice there's this hesitancy. Almost like she's seen a ghost.
You okay?
She just whispers, "It's home. I'm home." But she doesn't look happy about it.
Is it really home?
Yes.
Can you find where you used to live?
Yes.
Do you want to?
I don't know.
I believe this is where we end up seeking closure.
Vanya's going to hold her close. It's up to you. We're not going to force you one way or another.
Whatever you want, we have your back.
I know what I want to find. I need to see it again. I need to see Rin's lab.
Let's go. I'll be next to you the entire way.
She will lead the group, taking you all across these strange lands, this strange place. The city is vast, possibly larger than anything you've ever seen before, and all of the structures range from humanoid size to gargantuan. It cannot be understated the scale of which this entire city exists at. This dead wood tree, centered within it, reaching out and spanning across the whole of it. We continue through the passages, across stone, slabs, and cliffs, making careful trail with Illyra, the one to lead. Such passages, her wheelhouse, and like home to her as well. Until you find yourselves upon the looks like marble slabs. Each tile of the stonework is intricately designed, cut to such precision, such perfection, that it all fits together, slotted in, and untouchable, indestructible, by how time has taken this place, swallowed it up. But that does beg to question how it opened up in the first place.
Arya?
Yes.
Okay. Wasn't this a place hit by a big rock?
Yes and no. The calamity wasn't a rock. The calamity was a weapon.
Oh.
Yeah. And that, if I'm going to make a guess, and she points to the tree, is also a piece of it. Much like the one we saw before, the one that Cause liberated the souls from. But this one's different.
Hmm.
Other than the lack of faces, in what way?
I mean, you don't think it looks different? Lack of faces, it doesn't look like flesh.
Yeah, there's that.
Could that not have been their tampering?
Maybe. Might have been because of cause, might be because of something else entirely. Imbro,
Sorry, sorry, what?
you okay?
And, the long journey, I think. She was here. Is here.
The woman in yellow.
Yes.
You said mother.
Yes. And he kind of apparates his sword. She's the reason I have this.
And what do you make of that? She points to the tree.
Home. But not home.
I don't think I like how you phrased that.
I don't either.
I guess we'll...
Honest, I am not sure how else to say it.
I suppose we'll have to find out. Given, if you become like Caleb, I hope you understand, we're going to tie you up and bring you back home in chains.
I don't think you have to worry about that. I'm just anxious about what I'm going to find here.
Me too.
I know it was things we found in Uct that gave me the abilities that I have now. I don't know all of the specifics behind it. I'm not an arcane scientist of any kind. But it was voluntary, and I feel like
You feel like what?
home, but not home. It's very hard to describe. Anxious.
Familiar, but
Familiar.
not quite.
Exactly. Like mother. Is the woman in yellow.
You know who your mother is. You are the near descendant of Stormcrow.
I know that.
So the thing that grants you your gift is separate. It calls this woman in yellow mother.
Yes. The still water calls.
Still water.
Like you said, Arya, I think the lab is a very good idea.
Then I'll take us there. This place. There's a name for it. It was once called Zerana. Like sanctuary. I never thought I'd see it again.
A sanctuary. Exactly.
But when I lived here, I think it was far from. No. We should go. Arya's going to move on. I'm taking you across the stone paths. As you are now, you are at this outer passage. The gates, like obelisks, judging you as you approach them. You notice that the city itself, from a view far away, has different segments, different parts of it, and each part connected by these long bridges that almost look like they're made of crystal, reflecting any light that happens to catch any sort of image that passes by them. You notice that there are candles and braziers and torches that still light, still burn. They do not go out, even as small currents run over them. Magic maintaining the flame. Until eventually you arrive to a bridge. Beyond it, a gate, just barely ajar, for you all to enter. You approach steadily. The rapids and a deep chasm below you. Crystal clear water that goes far, 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 far below you. Is now only but a whisper of a sight. You can no longer see the bottom below the bridge. You begin to approach. And as you do, Arya stops. You see color drain from her face. And all of you hear a distinct noise.
I'm going to get ready and draw my sword and look around.
As do I.
As do I.
Vanya's getting her bow ready.
Lagana's gonna check on Arya.
Arya's frozen stock still. And she's just whispering, no, not one of those, not one of those.
I'm gonna reach
Yeah.
out, grab Arya, and move her behind me. Nope.
And what rounds the corner? You see a gargantuan statue. An image. The visage of the draconian power that once ruled here.
Oh, well, that's a rather large thing.
The last time I tried to talk to the big rock thing, it punched me. So are we just fighting this time?
You see lights flutter on the front of it. Steam bursts out from around the armor's joints. And the light suddenly draws out and scans all of you. The mumbling from the machine. Who speaks Draconic?
I understand Draconic.
I speak and understand it.
I speak and understand it.
Cool. Those of you who understand Draconic, you hear. Target located. Its voice a garbled, deep rumble, and mechanical. Targets located. Identifying. State identity.
Arya? Do you know a code word in that case, then?
There is none. We have no laws.
Kurobe's going to step forward. I am Kurobe and this is my team.
The machine processes. Identified. Kurobe. Processing. 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 Holy shit. Processing.
Very loud processing.
Yes.
Yes.
Unable to identify. Directive. Determined. Unknown. Directive. Determined. Arrest. You are in violation of Order 6801.
6801.
Rest for who? There is nobody here. Your masters are gone. Your empire has fallen.
No identity tag for slave units. extermination, and it draws a sword of light. And I think at that point, that's where we're going to call it, because I don't want to do a combat. It's late.
I like this.
Oy.
Thank you, Spectre.
Thank you.
We got something
Yeah,
crazy coming up.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Spectre, I sent a message. When you started doing that, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way they decided to do that as a quick switch.
I mean, there is a kaiju fight, but it's... Oh my god.
I just imagine, like, as soon as it called us all slaves, everybody just looked up as like, oh no, you did not just.
I was
Not one of mine. Not one of mine.
I was about to cast Shatter just for calling me a slave.
I'm going to
There's-
tackle this
There's a
thing.
glowing sword in its hand. I'm casting Shatter on the hand.
You're right, there are no masters. Therefore, any sort of other humanoid shape that is there is, one, obviously a slave, and two, obviously existing without a master. Therefore, it is a reason for termination.
Okay, I'm just going to break everything.
Mm-hmm.
Kurobi is going back to his default setting.
We
I will
were
be right
hoping
back.
Arya had something for this, but I was anyways.
I was waiting for someone else to talk, and I'm like, if nobody else, Kurobe's going to be Kurobe. Because all he knows is Arya's afraid of this thing, and that already makes him want to break it.
Yeah, well, there's a reason.
Arya
Yeah.
knows what it is, or potentially has heard of it. Not necessarily knows.
Arya probably knows what it is because Arya has seen it.
But at the time, she had a way to get through it, around it, or whatever, and that doesn't exist now.
I'm just gonna put it lightly. In a society of dragons, what is capable of policing a dragon? That's all I'm gonna say. All right.
Demigods?
All right. Cool. Coffee. My dear friends.
Coffee got up.
Coffee's not here.
He's not here, so therefore I'm gonna have to go ahead. There is no coffee. There's only Zool. Oh my god, there's a huge moth over there. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. There's a small part of me where I need to bite my tongue the whole time while I'm internally squeeing.
All right. So everyone, I don't know what the determination on experience is, but since I'm a guest DM, I'm just gonna go ahead and say we're gonna reserve that until after the fact. But otherwise, we can go ahead and thank you, everyone, so much for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and give sponsors. Thank you so much for watching CoffeeCat and presents his channel here today, as well as tuning in for Rebirth, a D&D tale. With this, I'd like to thank the players. Of course, there is CoffeeCat himself, being the wonderful DM today. Thank you. And then there is also Macabre Derek. Macabre, do you want to go ahead and do a shill?
Oh, I'm allowed to do that now. Yeah, sure. My name's Macabre Derek. I am a horror artist as well as Vampire the Masquerade storyteller and a player within Cyberpunk, which is also hosted at CoffeeCat Presents channel on Wednesdays. So you should follow along, if only for that. But anything further, I end up doing a lot of commission work that can be found at Twitch on Macabre Derek. Will also end up continuing on as this Sunday, tomorrow, we will continue on with a Vampire the Masquerade workshop as I continue to end up developing within the tower a Camarilla Chronicle that we will be here running for in Vampire the Masquerade soon to come. Thank you very much.
I'm in no way having a panic attack expecting that game if I'm in it.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Raven, thank you as well. Go ahead and give us your shill. I know you do YouTube channel or Twitch channel.
English, Spectre. English.
It's my first and only language. I don't know it.
Neither do I. I am Ravenstar. You can find me over on my channel, usually doing some kind of gaming, usually Dead by Daylight, where I'm trying not to lose my head in more ways than one. I also do a little bit of photography on the side. Still need to go out and do that, but other than that, you can find me in Coffee's Cyberpunk game on Wednesdays, and hopefully in Derek's VTM game on Sundays.
Woo.
Continuing on.
Yeehaw. And also special thanks to Mojo Jojo, also known as Simba's Mojo, as a player playing Lagon, and That Fat Guy 3 for playing Kurobe, our beloved strong boys of the group.
Yes, strong boys.
Yep. Coffee, now that you're back, go ahead and shill your channel, please and thank you.
Well, you're already on my channel here at CoffeeCat Presents. Hi, I'm CoffeeCat. I'm usually the DM, but Spectre's our guest DM for the foreseeable 3, 4, 5 sessions, whatever it takes. And so they're going to be running us through this particular little arc with the Dragon City of Zorana. But if you miss any of our episodes, you're always welcome to check us out on YouTube. I post the VODs every week after about a week delay, as that's something that we're doing as far as that goes. But otherwise, we play live here on CoffeeCat Presents. So yeah, more D&D to come, more Cyberpunk to come. I will be moving briefly in July, so the whole first and second week of July might be without content, but we will just have to see. But yeah, thank you guys so much for playing and so much for watching. I believe that our player characters do deserve some experience for tonight. So,
neat.
Yeah. So that is something that we usually do around here. So, with that being said, I believe you have, as the GM for the session for tonight, you and me half and halved it. Obviously, we get the 5 for showing up today for all characters played. So, guaranteed for that. So, how much experience do you think for the objective completion that they did today?
Oh, there was a lot of really, really pleasant conversation. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the full 5. How say 3?
Okay, 3 it is. 3 it is. And then we also have the roleplay prompts, which the players themselves vote upon. And then, of course, our audience favorite is voted on by you, the audience. So go ahead and get your votes in now. So, based on what we've got up to today, who moved our plot the most?
I know this is going to be a loaded portion, but I'm going to end up saying Arya.
Yeah, Arya. I agree with that.
I would argue Vanya. But I think that's just more personal plot stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll argue for Vanya.
It's 2 and 2.
Coffee, don't forget, you get to vote too.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
well,
played.
Yeah, technically you're a player, bitch.
I'm playing the NPC.
Don't care. Vote.
Hmm. I'm gonna let Mojo pick first. You're muted.
Yeah,
I'm rolling a die. Odds it's Vanya. Even it's Arya. I rolled a 4.
So that's Arya. All right.
Arya.
Well, I'm gonna say Arya too.
Oh, damn. Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna have to be put in the closet for like a couple of sessions,
Yeah.
but thank you.
Arya is now
Partial pop for
catatonic.
both.
That's literally it, though.
Arya is a glorified trauma response now.
Yeah.
We will just carry.
little bit.
Yeah.
Little bit right now. Little bit right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
You worried elf wife.
What about our best scene?
Emerald, because I can do that now. One.
Yes.
And 2, I have never internally squeaked so much in my entire freaking life, and to a degree, I am amazed, and the other portion of it horrified on the fact that I have 100% of the answers in this situation, and I'm like, "Aww, heart melts and cat butt."
Cat butt.
Yep.
I'm going to vote for shit, I can't think of Derek's character's name. I literally just went
Alira.
brain dead. Alira, thank God.
Alira's
I-
completely forgettable.
Oh no, it's
No.
not.
No.
No, I have just had a really long day, Derek. I'm sorry. I've been out in the sun. I had to do things. It was terrible.
It's the excess of elves. That's what I blame it. They all look the same.
Damn.
Them knife ears. Okay.
No, over the scene with all of the fauna and the weirdness.
Oh, God.
Honestly, just because that was a lot of fun to do.
This is a wild magic zone, so if I pick a flower.
But it's
Look.
a flower.
Look, I knew something terrible was going to happen, and I said it anyways.
It all went great. It was just a grease spell. It's okay.
Fireball centered on me.
That would have gotten everybody. Yep.
But yeah, I will go for the Princess of the Underdark.
Lyra.
All right.
I will throw mine in for Vanya with her father.
Arya got the
that-
audience favorite because one person voted.
Aww. Thank you.
Thanks.
Vanya's whole interaction with her father, a bit of a reconnection.
You know, okay, I'm changing my vote because I forgot about that.
Okay, so that's a few votes for Vanya.
Sounds like. So what's the split?
I don't know because there's not.
3.
You haven't declared who you think. And...
Oh, okay. Well, Vanya.
All right.
4.
Majority
Roll
rules.
with Vanya.
All right, majority rule then. Best line.
Literally any of the horror that was happening with Alira regarding everything she's seen in the top side. I think specifically the part that sold for me was when God, I can't remember the exact line, but Kurobe was just being like, well, everything's horrific down here, and Alira was like, how do you think I feel on topside?
Right? Yeah, essentially.
No, I'll give it to Alira, but it's for a different line. It's specifically when Robe ended up saying, "We need to take her to a zoo." I'm partied with one.
That
Yeah.
as well was very good.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
too. I'll give it to Alira for that one.
Yeah, either way.
Earned.
Alira line.
Earned. Alira line it is.
No, I have really enjoyed just like describing random shit and like playing back and forth with you guys with that. That was fun.
Love it. Love to see it.
I love the idea of a Tarrasque-sized platypus laying waste to.
Perry the platypus. Love it. Love to see it. Well, we will be back for more of Rebirth and D&D Tale next week with DM Spectre being our guest in the DM seat for the next few sessions, and I will be playing Imbril Stormcrow in probably the weirdest position that he could be in right now, because he is absolutely enamored with that whole petrified tree thing going on right now. And and I'm fairly certain that this particular automaton is going to start targeting him real bad because reasons. I have no clue what you plan here, Spectre, but I'm looking forward to it. So, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching and for all of the support that you have from the raids and such and stuff. So, with that being said, let's say goodnight, raid out, and we'll be back next time. So say goodnight, everybody.
Night.
Night.
Good night.
Wendell, you tree hugger.
It's true.